Tonight, we have the first ever college football playoff game being played in a home stadium. E.J. Manuel and Sir Paul Finebaum in the airport today in Charlotte. Paul, you and I, people of our age, will understand the significance of this. Tonight, there is a playoff football game being played in South Bend. These are words none of us ever thought we would hear. But here we go. It's Indiana at Notre Dame. Paul, who do you like in the first game tonight?
I like Notre Dame. And Greeny, I remember when Notre Dame wouldn't even play bowl games. That's why this is so significant if you're a little bit older than EJ. There's so many things, so many factors in this game, including snow on the ground right now in South Bend. I don't think that's going to have a big factor. They're both northern schools. But to me, Notre Dame's defense is going to be the difference.
So we like Notre Dame in that one. EJ, SMU at Penn State tomorrow. Who you got?
You know what, Green? I got SMU. They're going to shock the world up there in Happy Valley. And here's the reason why. They're going to learn from the ACC championship game. The learning lesson is start fast. They get beat 21-7 in the first quarter against Clemson, then 24-7 in the in the first half. But ultimately, Kevin Jennings, he's got to get off to a fast rhythm. And look, playing against 100,000 people instead of 40,000 is different, but I like SMU's chances up there in Happy Valley.
Remember, these games are being played in home stadiums. Imagine that building if SMU is pulling an upset. Paul, Clemson at Texas tomorrow. That's where you're headed. Who you got?
I like Texas. All eyes are on Quinn Ewers. He has been banged up all season long, Greeny, and everybody is wondering, is it time to bring Georgia game?
We're losing Paul in the airport. We will get back. We will get back with him. He's going to talk about Quinn Ewers, and we'll dive more deeply into that one. But I can tell you right now, he does like Texas. And so let's go to the last game. EJ, Tennessee at Ohio State. Who you got?
Yeah, look, Greeny, I got Ohio State, and this is because this is a must-win for Ryan Day, and we'll get to that later in the show. But I'm looking at the ability to slow down Dylan Sampson, the running back from Tennessee. He's a 1,400-yard rusher in the SEC, player of the year in that conference. But Jack Sawyer, the linebacker, I think is going to key in, be able to get this guy on the ground and give Ohio State some extra possessions with turnovers. I like Ohio State's chances at home.
Okay, and so we have lost Paul Finebaum, and I mean that technologically only. Don't anybody panic, but we still have EJ. And so let's dive into the Ryan Day of it all. We've had a lot of conversation this week about what that building, another reminder, these games are being played in home stadiums. And with the restlessness of that Ohio State fan base coming off of that terrible loss against Michigan, I'm trying to picture what this building might be like second quarter if this thing isn't going well. How would you describe the pressure on Ryan Day, EJ, in this game tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, Greeny, the pressure's through the roof, and it's always through the roof at Ohio State because the expectation is championship or nothing else. But for Ryan Day, and look, the last time this team played, they lose to Michigan. This is a year where they had all the talent in the world. They bring in Will Howard. They got Jeremiah Smith, from a high school recruiting. You're supposed to beat a Michigan football team, but I would just say, hey, look, that's in the rearview, man. Lock in on what's in front of you. Tennessee is a very good football team. They're really balanced, but ultimately Ohio State still has enough talent to win this ball game. And use the fans to your advantage. Don't allow Tennessee to get off to a fast start. Make it loud and make it hard for them on those third downs. Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee's quarterback, is still young, Greeny. So if you can get him some third and long situations like they did against Indiana, Ohio State's going to have a good chance.
I'm going to get a pick from Fortenbaugh in this game coming up in a minute, but let's talk about the quarterback situation. It's where Paul was starting to go before we lost his signal. The Quinn Ewers, of course, is the starter and has been the starter and in Texas all season long, and Steve Sarkisian has really stuck by him. But the Arch Manning factor sort of looms large over all of this. How much, if at all, do you expect to see Arch Manning in this game tomorrow?
Well, I expect to see him in packages because, look, he is an effective runner. He's somebody that's going to switch up what the defense is trying to do, whether he's doing some Q runs or even they show Q run and then they drop back and throw the ball. But the question here is you got to go with Quinn Ewers. He is QB1. I'm not a big fan of the whole PR battle and say, hey, look, we're going to play Quinn, and if he's not playing good in the first two series, we're going to take him out. That's hard for a quarterback psyche. So I understand he's had some issues with his ankle, but I still look at the fact that he's gotten this team to this point, Green. And you look at last year, he took him to a Big 12 championship, also took him to a CFP, and they're back in that same situation. So Quinn Ewers will be the guy for me, and then give Art some opportunities with the run game.
We have revived Mr. Finebaum. Paul, let's live in a world where this thing doesn't start well for Texas tomorrow. I mean, a lot of people have brought up the Jalen Hurts to Tua conversation. Do you think we could see a scenario like that if this doesn't start well for Quinn Ewers tomorrow night?
Greeny, I think it would have to be desperate. Steve Sarkisian has been so loyal to Quinn Ewers, and I don't think he'll take him out. They will have to be behind, and Quinn Ewers will have to be banged up. Otherwise, I think Arch Manning will just simply have to wait his turn till next year.
All right, and then let me very quickly get in one take from both of you on this. Yesterday, we learned that Georgia is likely going to be without their quarterback, Carson Beck, for the entire college football playoff. We saw him hurt the elbow in the SEC championship game. Quick take. Paul, does that doom their chances of winning the whole thing?
It does not. They've been prepared for this since the end of the SEC championship game. They knew Gunnar Stockton would end up being the quarterback in the Sugar Bowl in 2 weeks. I think they're okay, Greeny.
What do you think of that, EJ?
Yeah, I completely agree. Georgia still has a great opportunity. They have an excellent defense, man. And going all the way back to Little League, Greeny, defense still wins championships. So ultimately, look, you bring in your backup quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, who is not a scrub by any means of the word. He's a good football player, but he's inexperienced. But I think the defense will still carry this football team and help them win and have a good opportunity to get to that championship game.
Yeah, they've got that bye, so we won't see them for a little while. EJ, outstanding. Paul, travel safely. Thank you. Fortenbaugh, get over here if we can. I'm getting best bets from you all day long.
Situation.
Best bet on Tennessee, Ohio State. What are you looking at?
Lower scoring game, under 46.5. I have no trust in either of these offenses given the situation. Nico Iamaleava, you know where he's from? Long Beach, California. You don't face a lot of this weather that you're going to see in Columbus in Long Beach, California. The crowd noise, a suspect offensive line going against a Jim Knowles-led defense. I think the Vols are going to struggle. Remember, outside of the SEC this year, 60 points per game. We have this illusion in our mind that this is a high-flying offense. Inside the SEC, 25 points per game and less than 400 yards. They're going to struggle here. Meanwhile, Ohio State, that offensive line is problematic. Going against Tennessee in that pass rush, they're going to struggle as well. Chip Kelly wants to run the ball in this matchup. Under 46.5 is the play.
Says Joe Fortenbaugh. Again, it's the 12-team college football playoff. It's something we've been waiting for decades, and it begins tonight. Notre Dame, Indiana, 8 Eastern on ESPN and ABC. Tomorrow, the first 2 games are on TNT. That's the Penn State SMU game in Clemson, Texas, and then back to ESPN and ABC for Ohio State and Tennessee.